Hello, my name's Alex Dabbick and I'm a senior solicitor in the spinal injury team at Burdon Kemp. I have put this vlog together with a novice wheelchair user in mind, hoping that it will help you to consider some of the issues that you may face when you venture out for the first time after sustaining your spinal cord injury. I have taken the inspiration for this vlog from a wheelchair awareness event that my firm has organised recently. As part of the event, we have asked 10 able-bodied barristers to spend a day in a wheelchair to see what it is like to have a spinal cord injury and be in a wheelchair. According to statistics, about 1,000 people each year will sustain a spinal cord injury. That means that a spinal cord injury can happen at any time and to anyone. I know from speaking to my clients who have a spinal cord injury that practical advice and training on how to do things post-injury is very limited on the NHS. Spinal Injuries Association and Backup Trust are two amazing charities who support those with a spinal cord injury, offering practical guidance, training and peer mentoring. In particular, Backup Trust offers wheelchair skills training, which is a fantastic opportunity for those in a wheelchair to practice and boost their confidence. And Burdon Kemp is very proud to be sponsoring this. Number 1 on my checklist is obviously your wheelchair. Your wheelchair has to be chosen very carefully and it has to be suited to your medical needs, the level of your injury, as well as your physical abilities. But also, it has to match your lifestyle and where you work and live. By way of an example, we have recently helped one of our clients acquire an all-terrain wheelchair because she loved the outdoors and really missed being out and about after she sustained her spinal cord injury. Other bits to consider in terms of your wheelchair is obviously your posture. Your posture has to be well supported in your chair, and poor posture can cause all sorts of problems, starting from the pain, muscle imbalances, contractures, as well as pressure ulcers. It's also good to have a backpack with you to put at the back of your wheelchair to store things like a bottle of water, your medication, your continence products, and also another piece of clothing just in case the weather changes. Other bits of useful kit that you may wish to consider when you venture out are wheelchair gloves, particularly for manual wheelchair users, to prevent your hands getting blisters when you push yourself, and also just to keep your hands warm on a cold day. Next thing to consider, which is number 2 on my checklist, is navigating streets and pavements. Our streets and pavements are notorious for being uneven, bumpy, lacking dropped curbs, and full of obstacles, such as excavated pavements and the so-called street furniture, so waste bins, lamp posts, signposts, and even cars parked where they shouldn't be. Another issue, something that a walker wouldn't appreciate, is a cumber of the pavement and the road. And it is really quite challenging for a wheelchair user because it tends to spin you in the direction of the road. So be careful with that as well. Whenever you get stuck, stop, consider your options, make sure you're safe, and don't be afraid to ask for help. Another important thing for you to consider is wheelchair accessibility of shops and restaurants and other places. And I thought what might be helpful is for you to listen to the feedback that we had following our wheelchair awareness event on the issues of wheelchair access across Islington.
I found being in a wheelchair and out and about was very enlightening. So on my way to this morning, I didn't particularly clock whether places had ramps or whether or not they were accessible. As soon as you are out, it's a completely different world.
No, I found it hugely informative, if not extremely challenging. I have been rather petrified at the notion of having to try and board a bus in a wheelchair, and I'm glad to say that experience was one of the better ones.
I was surprised that there were shops that I physically couldn't get the wheelchair into. That really was quite surprising, and realising that normal door shapes, particularly on old buildings, were so difficult to engage with.
And particularly, I think, the attitudes of people in shops. So some people were in Ottolenghi, they were lovely, they came out, they gave me my change, gave me my coffee, all very respectful, very nice, very helpful, without being patronising. And there were other shops who were distinctly less helpful and on the patronising side of things.
I was perhaps not surprised, disappointed by how difficult access was to a lot of the smaller independent stores, but I think I probably anticipated that might be the case.
The width of doorways was another thing I struggled with.
I was also surprised by how much members of the public wanted to help and were prepared. Even when I wasn't asking for help, I was just looking like I was struggling, would come up and engage with me.
There was an estate agent that I was trying to get into, and it did have a ramp, it wasn't a step, so I thought that would be fine. But actually the door was very narrow, so as I was wheeling in I would catch my fingers, which was painful, and they were quite unhelpful.
So as you can see, wheelchair access, even in places like central London, is still a little bit hit and miss. I would therefore suggest that you check wheelchair access of the places you intend to visit before you venture out. Disabled Go is a fantastic website which offers very detailed information about wheelchair access of many venues across the UK. You may also wish to ring up the place and find out about their facilities, because remember, wheelchair access has to be specific to your needs. I hope this vlog will give you the confidence you need to go out there and enjoy the outdoors. With a little bit of pre-planning, the right gear, and most importantly, positive attitude, you can make it happen. And I hope that the Wheelchair Awareness event has shown that and has given you that boost of confidence. So why don't you give it a go, and I hope you'll enjoy it.